stories to be told, treasures to be found, silver and gold, dollars and pounds, never worth more than the stories of a town.
Somewhere out here in the far west of New South Wales, there had to be an inland sea, or so the early explorers thought. Charles Sturt had followed the rivers west. But when he got into these rugged ranges here, he was having serious doubts. He named them the barrier ranges for obvious reasons. And while he was here, he took time out to climb a large black rocky formation, describing it in his diary as a broken hill. The locals referred to the broken hill as a useless hill of mullock, but it was a boundary rider by the name of Charles Rasp who thought this weird-looking hill was hiding more than just sheep. And he found rocks like this one, really heavy, with flecks of metallic ore all the way through them.
"I've pegged out 40 acres. We could work that," Rasp said to his boss, George McCulloch. 40 acres, McCulloch shouted. "Man, we'll all of us go into it and peg out the whole damn hill." And that's exactly what they did. Rasp and his cohorts lived in very primitive conditions initially. After 9 months, just as things were about to fold, rocks like this appeared, containing lead, zinc, and lots of silver. This discovery was to change the landscape forever. The formation of a company to manage the expected expansion was an obvious next step for Charles Rasp and 13 of his fellow stakeholders. The rumour has them in the back room of this pub, the Silverton Hotel.
The Broken Hill Proprietary Company, so long Australia's largest and most powerful enterprise, began with the shareholders signing the register in a back room of this hotel. The initial capital was £15,000, and this is where the figures get really interesting, because within a year, that figure had grown to £1.5 million. Not only did Charles Rasp and his shareholders become extremely wealthy, but what they discovered at Broken Hill is the largest body of ore discovered anywhere in the world.
As the profits grew above the ground, the death toll underneath grew also. The conditions the miners worked in were extremely bad. In the first 30 years of mining, over 300 deaths were recorded in the mines, and so many more from the effects of dust and the poisonous surrounds.
Companies did little to better the situation. BHP even charged its employees 4 shillings out of their first pay for the use of a shovel. It's no wonder strikes quickly erupted in the town.
The strikes of 1892 and 1909 were particularly bitter, as the government backed the companies and sent trainloads of scabs and police reinforcements to the town. The miners armed themselves as well, and bloody fights broke out everywhere. When the miners finally gave in to the companies, it had the effect of cementing the union's rise to power that culminated with the creation of one all-powerful workers' parliament, the Barrier Industrial Council. This unique organisation has been the most influential force in the city's politics ever since.
Broken Hill was already New South Wales' biggest country town when the first train rolled into the station here to a tumultuous welcome. At last, the Silver City had a permanent link to the outside world, one that would fuel the boom, already well underway.
Bark huts gave way to grand Victorian piles like this one here, the Trades Hall, the first of its kind in the country.
The thing that did more to upgrade the look of the town here was a fire, a really big one, that took hold of the old timber shops here in Argent Street. It was a sizzling hot night, and before the fire was out, a large chunk of the city had been burnt.
There were more fires and never enough water to do anything to save the tinder-dry town. Water was crucial to the survival of Broken Hill, and people were now dying due to the lack of it. When the Minister for Mines in Sydney refused the population's request to collect water from here at the government well, locals revolted. They paraded down the main street and burnt an effigy of him. The message was clear, and they got their well open. Droughts came again and again, and it wasn't until reservoirs were built like this one here at Umbarumbaka that a more reliable water supply was in place. Broken Hill's isolation and incredibly harsh environment was to make it an ideal venue for one of Australia's more unusual Second World War events. In the middle of the night, under the most top-secret conditions, army trucks roared through the main street of Broken Hill, having unloaded some precious cargo off the train.
They were transporting Australia's entire reserves of gold for safekeeping here at the Broken Hill jail. You see, the Japanese were knocking on Australia's doorstep, and the isolation of this place must have been a good cover for our treasure. And this is where they stored it. Every ounce of gold in Australia that wasn't jewellery was stored here in this purpose-built vault in the middle of the jail.
During the 1950s, artists identified Broken Hill as an inspirational place to work, and a community of painters and sculptors began to foster a vibrant art scene. In fact, the seed was sown by one of BHP's founders, George McCulloch, when he established the city's art gallery in 1904.
I came in 1984, basically a landscape painter, and I think it was just the blue bush, the salt bush, the colours of the outback and the space, very few fenced-in areas. And of course, when the sun sort of plays across the landscape throughout the day, everything changes colour. You do get a lot of peace from walking in the landscape, and it's basically very good for the soul. It is an interesting paradox, I suppose you could say, that mining and art have come together in Broken Hill. Because we are isolated, it has a harshness and a beauty that is very specific to this area. There's nowhere else really like Broken Hill.
There's no doubt that the character of the Silver City is unique. For so long, Broken Hill has been a law unto itself. And with so many fascinating characters and such a rich history, I, for one, am the first to agree that this place is good for the soul. Hey, Bill, it's not far to the border, is it, mate? What do you reckon? Okay, good.